limp. But his eyes were opened, just like Satan said. He saw himself differently, and he was ashamed. He was ashamed of who and what he was. He felt that in his new condition, he could no longer be uncovered. He hid himself behind a fig leaf. He hid from God, he hid from Eve, and he hid from himself. And God comes strolling in the garden. "Where are you, Adam?" And Adam in his fig leaf steps out from behind a tree and he says, "I was naked, so I hid, and I'm afraid." That explains what we've battled with ever since, man. We're ashamed of who we are. If you saw me for what I really am, you would flee. You'd run away. If you knew the real Mark Biggs, you would not have come here today. If you really saw me, really knew me.
I'm here.
Kenny really knows me. He came anyway. Thanks, Kenny. I love you.
Love you, Mark.
There's a question that every man has from his youth on into manhood. Do I have what it takes? Some form of that question. Do I really have what it takes? If called upon, if I'm needed or thrust into some position or circumstance, do I have it? Do I have what it takes to be a man? By and large, most of us have heard, nobody, you don't. You don't have what it takes. And there is something deep, wrong, damaged inside of you. You don't have what it takes to be a man. That's what we hear. So what do? Either we pretend that we do have what it takes when we know we don't, or we hide. In either case, we're camouflaging the truth. We are hiding. The deep-seated belief that we have is, I don't have it. It's fear of exposure. Now, fear is an incredible motivator. So what are you afraid of that motivates you to hide? What am I afraid of that's motivated me to hide? What would be the most embarrassing thing for us to know about you? And if we were to know it, your circle of friends would just vanish. What is it? Answer that in your own heart. What is it that convinces you that you are disqualified as a man? What is it that is inside you that you've either been told or you've assumed is proof that you don't have it? Are you aware of what it is? Are you aware of what that thing is that you've been trying to hide since you were a little boy? Poser. That's what we're talking about. The poser is created by fear. Fear is what is at the core of a man that motivates all of our sinful, unrighteous, ungodly, unhealthy behaviors. And the greatest fear man has is being exposed as not having what it takes to be a man. Being male and not having the strength to face the risks and adventures of our life. And an inability to do what the circumstances require of us as men. We don't have what it takes, so we pose. When you meet a man, you've just met a poser. Every one of us, from this tall on up. Some of us are more successful posers than others, but every one of us is a poser, including myself. Guys, I want to take you on a trip with me right now. We're going back to wherever you went to high school. I started high school at Albert Lowry High School in Winnemucca, Nevada. We're in sophomore PE. We've just come out of the showers and we're getting dressed for our next class. You can fill in the people's names that fit your story. Joe has a locker across from me and he asked me, "So Mark, how'd your date go with Sally? Did you get any?" And in my studliness, I reply, "Well, you know, we were parked out on East 2nd Street for quite a while." And I raised my eyebrows to emphasize that Sally and I had exceeded the bounds of Christian chastity. The facts are that Sally and I had a very nice date. Dinner and a movie. We never went and parked anywhere except in front of her house for about 30 seconds while she told me she'd had a nice evening. Then I held her hand as I walked her to her door. She gave me a kiss on the cheek and we said goodnight. That's what really happened. But I can't let Joe know that. If I do, I'll be exposed as not being the super stud of the 10th grade. I can't let that happen. So I pose something that I'm not, and I hurt myself, and I hurt Sally. I begin to ruin her reputation so that I can be seen as something I'm really not. I shouldn't be surprised when neither she nor any of her friends will have anything to do with me